Something about you is different. Some kind of energy's missing. Feel the temperature rising. That look in your eyes paralyzing. Forever you'll never leave in my veins.
We just said goodbye to a really interesting bike we just had through the workshop. Wasn't a whole lot of time to film, hence office, but this bike didn't have all your regular chain sets and cassettes and derailleurs. It had this astonishing 12-speed gearbox with a 600% gear range.
I mean, you've ridden one of this. Like, can you literally ride up anything?
Yeah. The bottom gear is like, it feels like you've got no trailer.
Now, to put that in perspective, the latest SRAM Eagle GX Eagle with its 10 through to 52 monster cassette, that has a ratio of about 520%. So this was super interesting. And we had the pleasure of stripping it off an older bike and building it onto a brand spanking new frame from a UK brand called Olsen. We're going to talk you through how all that kind of went and try and explain how it works and what some of the advantages are. Now, the bike actually belongs to Jake's dad. You might have seen Jake in a previous video, and I haven't had a chance to really ride it. A little bit of a burn around Glen Tress a few weeks ago, but Jake's had a time to really put it under its paces and all sorts of different riding conditions, hoping that Jake can add some elements about how it actually rides and how it might improve handling, because it really affects where all the centre of gravity and the centre of mass is on the bike, which is fascinating. Let's get stuck in. Now, the company that makes this is a German company called Pinion, and they have three models, a 9-speed, a 12-speed and an 18-speed. The 12-speed model is the one that we've been working with here, but essentially what you do to get those 12 gears is you have 6, then you duplicate them inside the gearbox to give you that. Now, how this gearbox works is pretty clever, but it's not dissimilar to what you might find in a car or a lorry or whatever. But essentially, imagine this is your pedal axle. This is off a BB30 bike, but it gives us an idea. And your cranks would come off this and your pedals, and your legs would be rotating this. Now, on the left-hand side of the bike is where those 6 gears are, and they're going to drive another top tier of gears. And then that transfers that power over towards the right-hand side, and what looks like over the top of this on the right-hand side is then what drives your chain rings. So your pedaling action can remain smooth, but it's this that moves in a different speed to the pedaling input. That's where your gears are coming from. Now, you shift gears through a grip shift.
As far as shifting, it's a bit weird to get used to at first because you can't apply pressure through the pedals hard like you would when you actually change gear. But as soon as you get used to it, you release a little bit of pressure off the pedals and shift. And the best thing about it is if you get to the bottom of a technical climb and you want to change gear, you don't have to get off, spin your wheel, change gear. You just change gear and it's in that gear.
Yeah, of course.
So there's no.
I guess you can just change gear when you're stationary, can't you? You don't have to spin the wheel or anything.
No, exactly. That's the best thing about it.
So there's 2 cables coming out of the grip shift, so that bit where the planetary gears that you can see on this diagram can be rotated. Now, inside of that top axle is a camshaft, and as that camshaft gets rotated by you shifting the gears, what's actually happening is it's engaging one of the 6 gears, if you like, and then it gets to a point where that camshaft will then engage the second row, if you like. So it gives you those 6 gears again, but goes through another gear, if you like, to replicate those gears on another ratio, which gives us that massive range. Now, when it comes to servicing and maintenance of this, there's very little for you to do. One, it comes with a service interval of 10,000 kilometres, which is mind-blowing.
Like, how long has your dad had this?
I bet it's 8 months, probably.
And I bet he's not even touched the inside.
No, it's never been touched.
Wow. And in that sort of time, you'd probably expect to go through at least a cassette and a chain?
Yeah. I'm usually right. Get to do it.
So big upfront cost, but the economics seem to all be there.
You'd never get service intervals like that from anything like on the market otherwise. And they guarantee it for 5 years as well, which is insane. So even though the initial cost is about the same as a top tier normal derailleur group set, over 5 years this is going to work out a whole lot cheaper, and how you maintain it is super easy. You literally just put a syringe onto it, drag out the old oil, inject some new oil, 60 millilitres, which is virtually nothing, and that's it. You know, obviously you've got to clean the outside and change the chain maybe, but you know, we're not talking 12-speed chains here. Single speed chain or even a belt drive is all it's going to take to do that. So really, really practical for people that do monster miles, because there's very little to really go wrong. I mean, even the cable friction, because there isn't relying on a spring to then put everything back, because you've got two pulls, even if a bit of cable friction sneaks in, the only thing you're going to really notice is just trying harder on the grip shift. So again, for practicalities of people out there doing monster miles in the wilderness, brilliant. Now, with that all said, what I'm really interested in is actually how it affects handling, because now you can imagine we're moving all of that weight of a big cassette and a derailleur all the way from the back wheel to the centre of the bike. So our back wheel is going to be considerably lighter, but that brings all the mass, if you like, the weight of it, right under the bottom bracket, really low down in the bike and central to the bike as well, which is going to make a massive difference to how your bike handles.
When you've got no weight on either wheel, it keeps all your centre of gravity right in the middle of the bike, which is where you want weight. If you ever have weight, is why e-bikes and stuff are also really good for jumps. It's a very similar thing, is the weight's in the centre of the bike. It's where you want the centre of gravity to be in the middle. It takes the weight off the back wheel.
So through those rock gardens and those really rocky
like rocks, it takes the weight off the back wheel. The wheel follows. It's more responsive.
Yeah, that's where you want to go.
Yeah, you get a lot more control over the back end with less weight on it.
And the crazy thing is, I was following you down something yesterday, tried to keep up desperately, but you couldn't hear any chain noise, no nothing.
It's completely silent.